Ain't No Love in This Town Part 2, New York, Excerpt number 1. After the heated high-speed chase, I was relieved to finally make it to the Oakland International Airport. I had bags full of money and a one-way ticket to New York. I had no plans on coming back until things settled down a bit. Due to the unloyal actions of my so-called right-hand man and Stacks, I did have some unfinished business to attend to when the time presented itself. I left my brand new Cadillac truck parked at the airport, and the only thing that would cover my steps was the fact that I used the same fake IDs to buy my cars that I used to cash the checks with, so they would not be able to trace it back to me. It was also the same IDs I used when I got to the airport to meet Nadia. She had two first class tickets waiting. One thing I can say is that I always stayed a few steps ahead of the game. The flight between Dinosaur and Finesse didn't last too long at all. After the dagger hit the ground and slid right into Dinosaur's grasp, he knew right then and there that it was kill or be killed. He grabbed the rusty dagger and shoved it right into Finesse's heart. Whether Dinosaur knew it or not, he had done McHenry a big favor, which in return would be his get out of jail free card. OPD was dirty like that. "Daddy, that bitch tried to off me," Nadia said as she told me about her close encounters with Raisin. This nigga had turned everybody against me. I thought to myself, it's a cold world. I said, looking Nadia in the eyes and shaking my head. "I'm just glad you're free and you're alive." "For real," I said as I agreed with her. I knew it looked strange as hell when we passed through the security checkpoint with all these bags of money. But shit, if having money was a crime, there would be a lot of players sitting in jail right now for the fuck of it. We made it straight through. A few side eyes here and there, but we made it through with no problems and no questions asked. Thank God, I thought to myself as I looked up in relief. We had to take an international flight out because it was the first one smoking. It would be my first time flying JetBlue, an airline I wasn't too familiar with. When the plane emerged into the air, I exhaled when I felt the excitement of thinking about a fresh start and building my empire all over again. If I never shared with you what empire meant to me, it was not the physical possessions of the things you had accumulated, but yet instead the fact that if I lost it all today, it was the power to get it all again. I'm glad Nadia came through in the clutch, and I plan to make it up to her when we settle down in New York. John F. Kennedy International Airport was one of the busiest airports in the United States. With 6 operating passenger terminals, the colossal transport hub was like a city itself. Dining options were virtually limitless, with everything from fast food favorites to upscale bistros to offer. Central Manhattan, a short distance away, some of the world's finest hotels were in reach. It was not a coincidence that me and Nadia made a beeline for Manhattan, home to the world's most famous landmarks. It was beautiful there. Times Square was a major commercial intersection and neighborhood. At the junction of Broadway and 7th Avenue, it stretched from West 42nd to West 47th Streets, brightly adorned with billboards and advertisements. Times Square was often referred to as the center of the universe. When I looked around, it was not hard to believe that this was the world's most visited tourist attraction, drawing in an estimated 50 million visitors annually. Nesto was beautiful here. Out of all the traveling she was doing, it was my best guess that she had never made it to New York. The look on Nadia's face was priceless. She had lit up like some Christmas lights and squeezed my arm just a tad bit tighter as we both shared that moment. The Empire State, I thought to myself. Nigga, I felt like a boss once I seen all those bright lights. Word to my mother, I yelled as I hit Nadia with that New York slang. Yes, yes, we have arrived, Nadia said. She was loving every minute of it. I told the taxi driver to take us to the best hotel in New York, so we ended up at the Knickerbocker Hotel right here in the center of Times Square. I don't know if it was the best hotel in New York, but it was nice. Out of 466 hotels in New York, it was ranked number 38. You'll love this hotel. It's fairly new and modern. The service is truly excellent, which is not easy to find at this touristic part of the city, the cab driver said as he pulled us up right to the front. I had left my Porsche parked at Nadia's crib. I was going to have to get used to public transportation again for a little while, but I was cool with it. I had to send some money back home to my kids and their mama because after the feds just hit, everything was out of order. I had signed over the house in Union City the day before I moved them in so they didn't have to worry about relocating. They'd be lucky if they get to keep the house. If not, I would just buy them another one. Not to mention, Nadia had left my SS Camaro at the airport as well. I had taken a few losses, but none of those materialistic things were worth my freedom or anybody else's that I cared about. When I met Nadia at the airport, we loaded all the drugs up into the Escalade and all the money up into the Camaro, more than half of the money. And I was praying like hell that I could make some phone calls to have the work and money picked up. Realistically speaking, the feds were probably all over that Escalade. Shit, by now, who knows? But the money needed to be redeemed. Lollipop had left me with so many identities to choose from that it made it simple to avoid the paper trails. Me and Nadia brought all of the bags in ourselves and didn't even call for a bellboy. Moving around with this much money, it was best to keep people out of the mix as much as possible. I got us a first class room with all the amenities and booked it for a week. In the meantime, me and Nadia would play fill in the blanks. I knew when my feet hit the concrete, it was game time. This was my first trip to the Big Apple, so it would take me about a week or two just to get a feel for the place. Once I was settled, I could organize some crime, push some pawns, and get back to the money. When you were living an expensive lifestyle, these nice things needed to be maintained by a steady flow of income. It wasn't no secret that cash ruled everything around me. We finally made it to the room. With 6 oversized duffel bags, I slid the key card into the lock and pushed the door open. Home sweet home. For now. Once again relieved to make it to another checkpoint. After the door closed, I began to empty out the duffel bags. I never seen so much money at one time, Nadia said, watching in amazement. Bands and bands of money wrapped up all pretty, just how I liked it. I'm sure she got the idea that whatever I had up my sleeve for New York, that she was all in. I figured why not take her shopping tomorrow and let her tear down New York. It was the least I could do.